Hello and welcome, Fish here with another BMS 434 video. This video we're going to look at the basics of Mavericks in 434. So we're going to look at the three different modes: the pre-assigned target mode, the visible mode, the bore sight mode. We're also going to look at bore sighting, the weapons in advance of using them, and we're also going to look at the handoff between TGP and the Maverick sensors during combat. We're not going to worry about the handoff between the hood and the Maverick sensors. So I've got some buildings out here ahead of us. I'm going to try and bore sight, so we need to just quickly switch into air to ground mode. We're in safe mode here. I'm going to on cage each of the Maverick stations in turn. Then we're going to switch on our TGP over on the right MFCD, and we're going to use our fire control radar to zoom in to those buildings there. Okay, when we've done that, we're going to change the SOI to the right hand screen, and we're going to then pick a building out that's distinguishable. Yeah, we need to just maintain our altitude. We need to be down below about 3,500 feet because of the cloud layer here. So I'm going to pick this building in the front, and I'm going to change to the Mavericks page on the left, and I'm going to slew. We've now point of interest on the right hand side, and I'm going to SOI to the left hand side, and we're going to TMS up after we've zoomed in. And once we get the bore sight option, we do that and change station and do the same thing. And now we have both of our stations left and right bore sighted. And it's worthwhile noting that we have the Terpods, the L88s on both left and right, carrying each 3 AGM65Ds. So we don't have to. We only have to bore sight each of those racks. So if you had more than one hard point being, or more than 2 hard points being used by the AGMs, you would have to bore sight each of those in turn. Let's concentrate now on the getting to the target area. I have some targets set up near steer point 3, so I'm going to push the steer point 3, change to HSD, and start moving in that direction. I'm going to focus on the left hand side on the fire control radar and switch it to air to ground mode because it's moving targets that we're going to be looking at. And we see a little spot on the screen there, which is where I placed them, near the city up ahead, and I'm going to slew into that and zoom in using the FOV key, pinky, and we're going to bring that target area into the hood. On the right hand side, we're going to switch on TGP, and on the left we're just going to slew it around a little bit, and we're going to TMS up to lock it in place. Now we need to forget about the fire control radar on the left hand side because we're focused in on the target area, and we're now going to concentrate on the TGP. Notice I'm keeping my speed down low, and it's always good when you're setting up for Mavericks to keep your speed low. To keep your speed low on the way in, and when you're coming out, speed up to get away from any threats. So we can see a whole rake of targets there on the move, and I'm going to pick a couple that are of value. And we can see there we have what looks like either Tunguska or a Shikla, so I'm going to focus in on that. Keep an eye out outside our hood. It's important to, when you're doing these operations, particularly when you're releasing, to make sure that the target area is in your hood to give the missiles the best chance of success. So we're locked in there now. You can see our range is 9 miles, so a little bit outside the range for handoff, and we're trying to get handoff. We've actually got a good handoff there at 8 miles, but we're still outside the range of the target. So let's switch over now to the next station and see, can I pick another target that I can lock into. And now we've got handoff for both of those, and we should have weapons release. We're just within range now, and I'm going to switch on our master arm. Nearly forgot. And we've got 1 away and 2 away. So come off the target area. Now the only benefit there, as you can see, of handing off 2 weapons and then firing them in sequence is that if you're outside the launch range, you may actually get handoff a little bit earlier to the weapons. But apart from that, and I don't really see any real benefit. In actual fact, I'm gonna just while we're just turning around here, I'm gonna zoom in, and I'm gonna go directly away from our target area, change our range up and center that on the screen so we know where we are. Okay, so that gives us about 5 miles outside for the small circle there, so we can turn back in again. So in the meantime, I need to switch on. I need to on-cage our 2 stations once again. I'm going to turn back in. What I was saying was that it's probably more efficient to get a good handoff and release the weapon, because then you don't have to worry about it. And if you do have to find another target that's outside its range, you don't want 2 targets in completely different positions and firing into one direction and trying to spread the targets out. So you're better off focusing on one target, launch, and then you don't have to worry about it, and then focus on the next one. That's in my impression. That's my view on it. So we can see we have some smoke there where we've got hit from our last round. So I'm going to focus now back onto the TGP, make a sensor of interest, and now I'm going to start zoom out, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It doesn't matter, I'm not particular for this video what targets we're looking at. I just want to lock on some. So we've got one target there, and we've got a good handoff, and I'm releasing. And then TMS right, and we're going to take another target out. Just zoom out a little bit first and then get it. And again, we should have a good handoff there. Weapons away, and now we're going to come off target once again. And now we're going to look at the next mode, which is the visual mode. Once again, what I have to do is I have to on-cage, change stations with the missile step switch, and on-cage. So you can see we still have our TGP focused on that location there, and that's where our Mavericks are trying to point. Now we can see if I switch mode using the cursor enable, we're going to go from pre to visual, and actually you can see we're not seeing that mode here because I'm still in jettison on the screen. So we're there. So we see we're in visual mode now, and I'm going to start turning around. So we can see the difference in symbology there. We have our target designator in the center of the screen with the flight path marker, but we don't have our Maverick assigned to that. So I'm going to TMS down from where we were, and we should see our Maverick trying to align with that. Actually, we have a good alignment now. Let's just see by moving. Yeah, everything is being slewed together. So we have a good alignment of the Maverick. So Maverick is pointing in the same direction as our HUD. We have HUD, a sensor of interest. So the Maverick is being enslaved to the HUD. So let's go back around to the target area. So with this mode, what I can do is I can slew the target designator box, and it will track the TGP, and I don't see any real benefit in just using this without the TGP in this situation. So I'm going to slew it around somewhere into where I expect those targets to be, and then I'm going to go into center of interest on my TGP and see can we find some targets. And we have some targets moving out there, a tank, and I'm going to lock onto that, and we have a good handoff there, and pickle rifle I should say. So we're going to come back around, and we're going to change the mode once again. We have our last missile on caged, And I've changed the mode using the cursor enabled switch. You can see we go from visual to bore sight mode. And now in the bore sight mode you can see we have, it's like a gun sight square, but we don't have our Maverick aligned to that. The Maverick is aligned somewhere behind us, so if I TMS down to that, I should get our Maverick back in. You'll see a circle coming in. There it is now. So we have our Maverick aligned with that point on the hood. So we're going to start coming back into the target area. Now the difference between this mode and the last mode is the target designator box is moving around, and that's what we're using. With this one we're actually using the Maverick sensor. So we're pointing the gun cross and the Maverick sensor to that point on the ground, and then we're locking on. And if we don't lock on, we can slew the Maverick sensor, but we're forgetting about the TMS or the TGP at this point. So I'm going to start looking in that area again. I remember there were some targets around there where the target designator box is. So if I TMS up, it ground stabilizes. So look where we're looking at on the left hand side. So we can see, and I'm going to TMS up. And that's grounds. Okay, I should have put it. Should have put it in hood sensor mode. Now we're trying to lock on. We haven't found the target. Let's come off target area. We might be a little bit too late there. 1.5 miles. There's air. It's ground to air threats there. Okay, so what happened there was I wasn't in hood as center of interest mode, and so the I couldn't slew the target. So let's do that once more. Let's change mode again and again and again back to bore sight, and now I'm going to TMS. Well, TMS down. I was uncaged, and so the Maverick sensor came back in there. So I'm going to go back around again. Try this one more time. Quite close in now. So we're going to TMS up now to slew, and now you can see it's ground stabilized. Now we're going to try and find the target of interest. What's that out there? That might be something. We have a lock on that, and I'm going to fire, and then we're going to come off target. So that's pretty much the 3 modes, and the switching in between modes is a good way of releasing the cursor from its position in the pre-designated target mode and bringing it into the hood, and that's good if you're approaching targets that you've got some kind of visual idea of where they are and you want to search for them. You can use the visual mode to do that in conjunction with the TGP, and for the bore sight mode, that's good if you want to just directly lock the Maverick to a target. And once again, you start by pointing your aircraft towards the target area, concentrating on the Maverick screen rather than the TGP, and ground stabilizing with TMS up, and then slewing the cursor to your target area and hopefully get a lock. And if you don't, you can move to the designated area and TMS up manually. So I hope you found this useful, and as usual, feel free to comment, like and subscribe, and until the next time, this is Fish signing out.